Hey team, hey, it is now 2 p.m. and I'm super duper excited to be here with you today. I am Kim Rogers and I help and inspire women and encourage them to get into the best shape of their life. You deserve women 40 and over to be in the best shape of your life because your children are probably gone and grown or almost gone and grown, and this is your time. This is your time to recapture and do everything that you desire to do in life. So I'm here today to talk to you about the minnow belly. And we're going to spend 30 minutes in discussion. And I want you to drop in your comment section. You have to give StreamYard permission to do that, to talk with me in the comment section, and I'll pop back into this group. This is the Dynamic Physique Studio group. This is one of the first groups that I created, and I wanted to share in this group because I just felt like it was really, really important. And I've been getting a lot of questions about gaining body fat, and I'm going to be using that word fat. And before I dive in, I just want to say that any information that I share with you today is not to be used as medical advice. So let's dive in here today. How many of you, I'm going to be discussing the word fame, and I use the acronym FAME for food. Hey, Miss Arlinda, for food, activity level, menopause, and energy. Food, activity level, menopause, and energy. So, and I have some notes over here. So you're going to see me looking from side to side, looking at my notes. I wanted to do this live stream discussion because I feel like women that are 40 and over are really, really working out, doing the very, very best you can, and you don't understand why. And you're going to see my husband in the background walking past the camera because we're doing it live here in the house, and I want it to be really, really comfortable. Really, really comfortable. Hello, Facebook user. Doing this and very intimate. So know that you're in a safe space. So let's dive in. The minnow belly. You may not be in menopause yet, but after menopause, your body, you're right, it does tend to just pack on fat, and you don't understand why. So let's start off with what is going on. What is going on with food? That's the first word in fame. It is food. Remember this, it doesn't matter how much you eat. I want you to remember that it doesn't matter how much you eat. It does not matter how much you put into your stomach. I want you to remember that. If you don't remember anything else, how much you eat and how much you put into your stomach is going to be really, really important today, because here's what's important. What's important is what makes it into your bloodstream. Not how much you eat and not how much goes into your stomach, but actually what makes it into your bloodstream and your body. It's not your fault. Listen, it's not your fault once you reach menopause, right? Because your body gets to decide what is stored as fat when it makes it into your bloodstream, what it's used for your cell and tissue repair. So that's not your fault at all. So I want to give up all guilt. I want you to give up all guilt about that at this moment. All right. So what I want you to remember is not how much you eat, not how much you put in your stomach, but what is important is what you eat. What you eat and what makes it into the bloodstream. Let's move on. On activity level, how you work out. I get a lot of questions about what's the best exercise to burn fat, Kim? Do I need to do all these HIIT workouts, Kim, to burn fat? Do I need to run? Do I need to jump? Do I need to jump rope? Do I need to run on the treadmill? How many hours, how many minutes do I need to spend burning fat? Burning fat. And I want to say this. It's not the workout. That's a big myth. Okay, that is a big myth. Any workout you choose will burn fat. And here's why. Because fat is stored using glucose. Remember, it's about what makes it into your bloodstream. What makes it into your bloodstream. Fat is stored using glucose. So let's dive in here. I'm going to give you a little bit of science. I love science. So I'm going to talk about digestion. All right. Activity level and digestion. That's where we are right now. Think about when you eat. The first thing that happens when you eat food, the first thing that happens is that food moves into your small intestines. And once the food hits your small intestines, you have what's known as a pancreas that says, uh-oh, food has hit the intestine. I got to secrete insulin. Y'all ever heard of that word called insulin? You have liver cells and you have muscle cells. You have over 260 muscles in your body. So your liver cells and your muscle cells says, uh-oh, something's hit the bloodstream. Come on, pancreas. I need you to pump that insulin. Pump that insulin. And so the pancreas starts to pump insulin, which lowers the glucose in your blood. You ever heard of blood sugar? Well, that's glucose. It's in your bloodstream. Once that happens, the body becomes regulated. Now, here's the deal, y'all. Here's what happens over time. And as a woman over 40 and 50, and before I dive into that, let's go back to adolescence just a little bit. Right? You remember when you were a young girl and you probably knew some young fellas that grew up in your life. And when you hit puberty, the young fellas started to chisel out. They started to get those pecs in their chest, the wide back, really, really lean. And the young ladies, they started to gain a lot of padding, right? A lot of padding around the stomach, a lot of padding in the breast, a lot of padding in the hips. And that has to do with your body preparing you for childbirth and child rearing later on in life. See, the body just knows what to do. As you turn 40, your body becomes more resistant to accepting glucose into the cells. And so what happens is over time, as we eat foods and as we age and become 40 and over, we eat food and digestion takes place. And some of us eat up to 8 meals per day, right? And we look at a meal as being we look at my internet is going to spool a little bit. We look at a meal as being a whole plate of food, but a meal could be a protein bar. A meal could be a Nutri-Grain bar. That is a meal. And so as you age and you ask your pancreas to pump more insulin, and some of us eat up to 8 meals per day, and we eat a lot of processed foods. The more processed foods you eat, the more sugar it contains. I'm talking about like donuts, chips, cookies, sodas, juices, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. And so the pancreas is pumping. Now, over time, you reach 40, over 50 years old, and your cells in your liver and your muscle cells have become a little bit less tolerable. They were like, huh, pancreas is like, don't y'all need something? Don't you need this insulin? And they're like, we just learned how to tolerate this because, we keep knocking on your door, pancreas, and you keep coming with this stuff. And we're just simply tired of knocking on your door. Have you ever had a neighbor that just say, oh my God, you keep showing up, or a bad habit just keeps showing up. So your liver cells and your muscle cells become tolerable to the glucose that's floating around. It won't come on the inside of those cells. And so you know what happens? Pancreas keeps pumping because pancreas knows that it's too much glucose in the body. That is sugar in the body. I need to keep pumping. But your liver cells and your muscle cells say, no, we good. We just gonna tolerate what you doing to me. You know what happens when that happens? That is called diabetes. When people become insulin resistant, that is diabetes, right? I'm not sure if your doctors ever explained it like that before, but that is what diabetes is. It's when you are insulin resistant and your pancreas keeps pumping insulin, right? Because your blood sugar is so high, but your muscle cells and your liver cells are not accepting the insulin. Therefore, there's too much blood sugar floating around, and people have to be put on medication to help balance out and regulate your blood sugar. It's a metabolic disease. All right. Insulin resistance equals diabetes. It does, because the insulin won't go inside of the muscles or the liver cells. And a lot of the blood sugar is left floating around. So here's the thing. Now, when that happens and you're in menopause, because you've become insulin resistant a little bit. A lot of us are insulin resistant and we don't even know it, right? It comes with age. So you have all this sugar that's floating around in your body. Now let's go on to what cells, with all this sugar floating around, what cells really, really, really say, I'm going to come in. See, they like a bad cold. I'm going to come in and I'm going to accept all of this glucose, right? Because if that glucose is not used, it's got to be stored somewhere, right? If all of that sugar is not used, it's got to be stored somewhere. And remember, when you were an adolescent, and women in general, we store fat because the body prepares us for child rearing and childbirth, right? And so fat cells say, hey, come on over. We want you. Isn't that something? I was like, now, God, look. Yes. So fat cells welcome glucose. Okay. They welcome glucose. Fat cells welcome glucose. So you're not exaggerating. As you age, your body will start to become less lean. I'm here today to help you to understand why. Help you to understand why. Because you can develop lean and toned muscles. If that's what you're going for, you can. You have to understand how to do it. Okay, how to do it. And it's more than just working out. Fat cells love glucose. And let me tell you why. I want to tell you why. Because when a woman reaches menopause, and what is menopause? I am premenopausal. I have not, I still have a period every month. When your period has gone away for at least a year, right? At least a year, you are in menopause. You have reached menopause. Your period has gone away and you are in menopause. Or if you're skipping periods, you probably are in perimenopause or premenopausal. But you're having menopausal symptoms. You are. And so as your estrogen goes down, we have hormones in our body. We have estrogen and we have progesterone in our bodies, right? And so as your estrogen goes down, your body, remember, this is not your fault. This is your body doing its own thing. Your body is a machine, okay? It's different than your brain. Your body is a machine. And so your body has to stay alive. And when your estrogen levels dip and go down, guess what? They say, oh, we have all this stored fat. And fat gives off a hormone called leptin, right? Which mimics estrogen. And what happens is the body says, oh, wow, we got a reserve over here. We got some fat. And it's mimicking this hormone called leptin. So we really don't need that estrogen stuff anymore. But you know what the body starts to do? The body starts to ask you for more fat. So your body, once you reach menopause, starts to hold on to fat because it needs it to survive. It thinks that since estrogen has gone down, it needs something. And it has found the fat that's stored in your fat cells. Yes. And so when women say, oh God, I'm having all these hot flashes, I'm craving all this sugar, I'm having brain fog, I'm reaching for this can of soda, I need the Snickers bar, your body now recognizes it needs more sugar. And so what happens? I eat this candy bar, I eat this juice, I eat this fruit, and we're going to talk about fruit in a minute. I eat this fruit, I eat this cake, this cookie, this donut, and I continue to eat it, and your pancreas is still pumping, pumping, pumping this insulin, pumping, pumping, pumping. Most of us are insulin resistant and don't know it. And so it leaves all of this sugar floating out here in the body. And most of us are not working out, right? We're not as active as we used to be, or as our forefathers were. We drive everywhere. Now, this would be a perfect storm if we lived back in 1920. Okay, and we rode horse and buggies, and we had to forage our own food, and we worked in the fields every day. So this is not your fault, because you live in a world where food and fast food and processed food and snacks, and it's all over the place, right? It is. And so that's not your fault. It is not your fault. But the more we eat, the more we take in, and the more the digestion takes place, and the pancreas is pumping the insulin. And remember, your liver cells, even in men, their testosterone goes down. Once they reach 40, they start to have low T. Now, this is not to men, but you can share this with your significant other, brother, uncle, whoever, and they start to get these big extensions in their belly. You know why? Because the belly holds the most fat. The belly and the hips and in the back, those are the largest muscles, right? They are. And so that's where that fat is stored. It's stored because it's not used. Anything that's not used, it's stored. Any fat, any sugar, let me say it like that, any sugar that's not used in your bloodstream, the fat cells welcome it into their home. They say, come on in, have a seat, sit down, stay a while, because we're going to continue to ask you for sugar. Sugar not used. It's not the fat that you're eating, it's the sugar. It is the sugar, because your muscle cells and your liver cells will say, hey, we just tolerating this. We just doing time. Because you're eating too fast and too much. And you know what? Mm-mm. We may take in a little bit, but you just keep asking over and over again, right? And so let's move on and talk about how to solve. Now, I'm here to help you how to solve this problem, right? How to slow down your fat storage problem. That's why I'm here. Because I know a lot of you out there, you work out. I see you online. I train people that work out really, really hard. And they be like, oh my God, but this fat, man, it's not moving. So it's a difference between losing body fat and losing weight. When you lose body fat, you're able to see the hard work that you put in. You're able to see your lean muscles. See, you have muscles. We all have muscles. It's just covered up with padding. That's all. It's covered up with padding because your fat cells say, hey, we just gonna hang out, man. Keep eating that sugar, keep eating all that processed food, and we just hanging out, and we're not working it off, the sugar that's in our bloodstream. So this user asked, she said, any sugar not used is stored in fat cells, hips, back, stomach, large muscles. That's true. Now let's talk about fruit sugar, because you hear me say carbohydrates are not the And carbohydrates are not the enemy. They're not. Carbohydrates are very, very healthy. They are slow carbs. If you're a woman over 40 and 50 like me, and you're in menopause and you're working out and you want to take off body fat, slow carbs is what you need to go for. Slow carbs. Most of us are going for the quick carbs, right? That quick energy going into that bloodstream, that quick sugar. I love watermelon. I can eat a whole entire watermelon every single day. I'm not eating watermelon now. It is muscadine season. I'm not even eating muscadines because I'm going for a leaner body right now, right? And I can't eat a pound of muscadines every day and lose body fat. I just can't. No, it won't work. My body says, no. You are not going to outwork. I don't care if you run 5 miles every single day. Okay, you are not about to run all the sugar that's floating around in your bloodstream out. That is impossible. So the way that you manage, the way that you solve this problem is, and slow it down, is through your eating. I know, ladies, it's through your eating. Quick carbs. Quick carbs is your juice, your soda, your alcohol that turns into sugar. It does. So those are quick carbs, quick carbs. And so, what you eat is much more important than how much you eat. I know we're moving into the holiday season, lots of baking, lots of whatever. And I know that you eat that day, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you beat yourself up like, oh my God, I gained all of this over Thanksgiving and Christmas. And that's simply not true, dear. That is not true. That is not true. Right. And so, liquid calories like your juices, your alcohols, your sodas, your I don't know, the creamers in your coffees, right? And so that's why you see me purchasing all those other serves, the skinny serves, because I'm minimizing the sugar. Because I know that if I don't use the sugar as energy, okay, it's going to be stored as fat. As a woman over 40, 50 like myself, I'm premenopausal. And as I age, I'm not in my teens, I'm not in my 20s. As I age, my muscles, my muscle cells, and my liver cells are becoming insulin resistant. And that's why you can see people who are small, right? So diabetes does not just attack people who are obese, right? Who carry excess body fat. Diabetes can be anybody's disease. It is not inherited. It is your history and my history of eating. It is the way that we were raised, and that's not our fault. Now, here's what we charge with, right? When we renew our minds and change our mindset, it is a new way of thinking, right? And so we are challenged with having a stronger mindset because we are choosing a stronger us, right? A new way of thinking. And that takes some time to develop, and you need a roadmap. So let's talk about what you need because we got 8 minutes left. Here's what I recommend. You need lean proteins, at least 30 grams of protein at every meal. Why do you need protein? Because protein, the muscle is like, oh my God, I love protein. Yeah, you light a fire with protein. I want you to come on into these cells, protein. Remember, it's insulin resistant. It could care less about that sugar. Okay. It's like, okay, whether you come visit me or not, insulin, I really don't care because I'm going to tolerate this. But protein, I love protein. So 30 grams of protein, 30 grams of protein at every meal. You may say, Kim, that's a lot. That is a lot. And you're right. It sounds like a lot, and it is. You have to write this stuff down and over time come up with your plan. So I'm not diving into the plan of things. I'm just here to give you some tips on understanding that minnow belly, the minnow belly, and that you can solve your minnow belly problem. You can. So as women age and they get into their 70s and they get into their 60s, and you just see them kind of get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and take on all of this body fat, and God bless them. They don't understand what's going on. They don't. They need lean protein and they need slow carbs. Why do you want a slow carb? Like a sweet potato. Why do you want a slow carb like oatmeal? Because in the digestion, remember we talked about digestion, when it first goes into the small intestines, your pancreas starts to pump out insulin, right? And most people have become 40 and 50 and over insulin resistant. So if you're eating a slow carb, your pancreas is pumping insulin, but it won't have to pump as hard, and you won't have all this sugar floating around out in your bloodstream, right? And your fat cells won't say, well, man, you've slowed down bringing people to this party. It used to be a time where you had a whole lot of sugar and you brought all kinds of people to the party. What happened? I'm not as happy anymore. And so what happens is, this is how you burn fat. The fat that is stored, the fat that is stored has to be used for energy. It does, because digestion is a process in the body. Your body uses energy to digest food. It does, and to break down food. And any food not broken down and pushed out as poop is stored as fat through glucose, sugar in your blood, right? So you don't get to decide. You don't get to decide. You see all these myths out here of what foods to eat that helps to burn belly fat. They're all myths. You can eat foods, what you eat, to support, minimize, and limit the sugar that's in your blood so that it won't get stored in your fat cells. That's how it works. That's how it works. That is how it works. And so lean proteins, lean chicken, lean pork, if you eat pork, lean turkey, all of those things you want to eat, right? Um, some more slow carbs. What are some more slow carbs? I said sweet potato. Oh, cruciferous vegetables, your broccoli, your cauliflower, slow carbs. Yes, because those quick sugars are going to be so hard on your pancreas and on your liver, right? Like I said, the information that I'm sharing right now is not to be taken as medical advice. However, people who develop fatty livers, right, their fat cells are saying, nah, we're not taking, it's just going to float out here, okay? You're just going to float out here. All right, you're just going to float out here. We don't want you in here, so it just piles up on top of the liver. Yeah. So I hope that you understand how your belly develops and the fat that's around your belly. I want to share with you, since I have not been eating muscadines, I only eat blueberries right now because next year I want to eventually go into competition. So I'm starting a little early, working my way, failing points, failing and trying again, failing and trying again. That's how it's done, right? Green beans and spinach are great. They have limited sugar. Any green vegetables are great. They are going to be your slow carbohydrates. But things like oranges, it's not saying you can't eat that. I would eat things like oranges, a really sweet fruit that's high in glycemic index, oranges, bananas. Eat those before a workout, okay? Before, so you're gonna use it, most of it in your blood, out of your bloodstream. Now, at the end of this, I want to share with you, right? I want to share with you this, right? I want you to take a survey at the end of this live broadcast. I'm giving you a free gift. I wouldn't bring you here, ladies, just to drop you off. I've created a user guide for you. It's a template, something to get you going, something to help you feel energized. I have so much strength and energy right now. It's amazing. I could actually feel it in my body when I was walking around Publix a few minutes ago. But I want you to go here and click on this link. I will post a link in our group because I want you to go and download this free user guide so that you can go and take your notes that you've taken and make this your very own and get into the best shape of your life. You deserve to live a healthy life. You do. And if you're going for muscles and lean and tone and sleek and feeling sexy like I am, go for it. Who says you shouldn't? At any stage of your life, right? I look at 80-year-olds and 70-year-olds that are living their best life, and they are my inspiration. I refuse to go into that dark night not living my best life. And I'm bringing you along with me because you're here today inside of this group. I appreciate you watching. Yes, lean and muscular. Absolutely, absolutely. Remember, you can ask your questions down in this group, and I'll be back to answer your questions from this live broadcast. Mwah. Take care, take care, take care, take care. And if this was beneficial, please let me know. Please let me know if you understand insulin resistance much better. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Oh, hugs and kisses to you. Hugs and kisses to you, Miss Linda. Hugs and kisses to you. Take care and have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday.